morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with the Mayor and City Manager. Today we have a special edition. We're joined with Police Chief Dan Doyle and Fire Chief Pete Pilafas are joining me today. So today we'll do the same format that we've always done. So we'll go over some hot topics that are going on in Lake Havasu City, and then we will turn it over to the chiefs. They'll talk about their departments and some of the great things that they are doing. And then we'll answer any questions that you may have on any of the items that we talked about or that's on your mind that we didn't address already. So we'll go ahead and start with what was in the front page of the paper today, which is the Downtown Catalyst Project. The City Council had met and discussed moving forward with this project. So the Downtown Catalyst Project is the plot of land that is in the center of our Main Street area. So it's at the corner of Quarrio and McCulloch Boulevard. It was part of the process when we did the America's Best Community Competition in 2015, where Lake Havasu City was a $2 million grand prize winner. And we were able to purchase that property for a little over $1 million so that we could create some sort of a downtown gathering space. As it was envisioned, it would be a place that people could go downtown, gather, walk around, and move to other businesses in that area. And also it would be a catalyst for other private development in the downtown area. We've had several iterations of what that could look like over the years, but it always ended up being more of like a public-public partnership, and we always talked about it being a public-private partnership. And so what we decided to do is look at what we could do with the winnings that we won from the America's Best Community Competition and invest it to make that area already better than it already is today. So right now it's already used as a gathering place, but it is a bit of an awkward space. The topography of it, you have to kind of make your way up a hill. There's not really good parking, there's not good electrical infrastructure, so we can take a look at all of those different things. But as part of the process, we want to have public input. And so we have a meeting on Monday, December 6th, from 4 to 7 down at the Aquatic Center to get additional public input. The Parks and Rec Advisory Board had already heard this issue a couple of weeks ago. They gave some really fantastic feedback to the architect and the design firm. And now we're just looking for additional input of what the public would like to see in that area. It, of course, would be a multi-use area that would be used for park-like uses, events, just general folks that are going down into the area and want to spend some time in the downtown area. So it's a pretty exciting project, and currently all of the monies that have been expended or allocated are all from the winnings of the America's Best Community Competition. Once all the public input and all the feedback is received, we'll come back to council and we'll have a discussion about what you all wanted in that area and what we might need to invest in that area to make that happen for our community. So stay tuned for that, but please get involved and go down and share your feedback and learn about the project. It's again on Monday, December 6th from 4 to 7 p.m. Also, since last time we met, we had another America's Best Community Competition project come forward in front of council for an update, and that was the Environmental Learning Center. The Environmental Learning Center is part of a project that would go on the Havasu 280, which is right at the entrance to the Riviera housing development and a mainland boat launch facility. And the ELC, or the Environmental Learning Center, as envisioned, is a place that would become all things water. So we don't really have a place that manages the life of the water. So the ecology of the water, the health of the water, those types of things. And it was determined through the America's Best Community Competition that if Lake Havasu City was the experts on what that was and what that looked like and worked with partners throughout the region in the Southwest, then we would have a very big seat at the table to ensure that we can protect the water quality as well as the water entitlements that we have in our community. What was presented to council included a very large-scale project that would include classroom space, science spaces for different people to do research, but also like a visitor center and an area that people can gather in that area and learn more about water preservation, conservation, all of those types of things. As it's currently envisioned, the only money that's been spent on this project, again, is from the winnings from the America's Best Community Competition. And now they have all of their information that they can go on the road and try and get different grants and funding for that project. So this is not envisioned to be a city project at all, other than it would be on the 280 property, which the city has under a lease with the BLM. So now that property, because it's federal property that we have the lease, we can't make any money off of that property, so anything that's generated has to go back into that property. It's similar with Sarah Park, is a very similar scenario that we have. So everything that happens at Sarah Park is also on that federal lease. So all of those revenues have to go back into the park and park infrastructure. And that's why Sarah Park has all of those different clubs or organizations that basically run their own silo park amenities in that area. So very similar there. So stay tuned for the ELC and some additional information on that. But the Pillar 4, which was part of the group that was developing that as the America's Best Community competition, has done a great job bringing it this far, and we'll see where it goes in the next steps. We also have been talking about storage units in Lake Havasu City at our last council meeting. There's been lots of discussion as the city is growing and doing some infill, basically filling in the additional lots or areas that we have. We wanted to take a look at what the sight line was when you entered into our community. So when you're coming in from the north, you have a beautiful view of Lake Havasu and the mountains. And when you're coming in from the south, you just were seeing all the great red rocks coming up through Parker and coming into Lake Havasu City, and again having a beautiful view of the lake. And there's been a lot of discussion from citizens and the council about what that corridor is going to look like on 95. And so we wanted to have that discussion and protect those view corridors and make sure that the land was being used for the highest and best use for our community as we're getting into that full build-out section. So what the council elected to do is to restrict the storage units on the C2 area. So if you have a C2 property, you still can go through the Planning and Zoning Commission and ask for that to happen and then come to council. But right now, it's not allowed in the C2 designation anymore. And that'll help protect some of that remaining land that we have on Highway 95. So it's not to say storage units are not necessary, because storage units are so necessary in this community. If you were to call around for a storage unit, you probably won't be able to get one or be put on a waiting list. So we're trying to find that balance of how do we ensure that the land meets the general plan, and how do we have those storage needs for our community. So there's also been a lot of discussion since the drought. The Tier 1 drought has been called in August of this year. And it seems that some of the feedback I receive from citizens or I see on online forums is that we're surprised. But we're not surprised. We knew that a drought was coming in the Southwest, and we've been planning for that for many, many years. And so a lot of the reactions that I'm hearing from citizens and others is that we need to stop building. We can't have folks come here anymore. Those types of things. But again, it's not a surprise. We knew that a drought was coming. We've been planning for a drought for many, many decades. And Lake Havasu City has been very forward-thinking in ensuring that we have water entitlements for our future build-out. And what our future build-out is about 97,000 residents. And so when I say that, people are like, we don't want to grow that much. We don't want that many residents. And so what we're doing is we're talking long-range planning. So I'm not up here saying I want those many residents here either, but we do need to plan accordingly that that's what eventually could be. So the reason we know that is we're actually pretty fortunate in our area based on our land entitlement, or our land holdings that are private holdings, and we're surrounded by state or federal lands. We know what the build-out's going to be. And we also know how to then plan towards that. So we were able to have water entitlements for that full build out. So we're in a good position for water entitlements. That's not to say we should not continue to conserve water, but we do have enough water to continue forward through the general plan. And so when it comes to water conservation and those types of things, it's really important that other users in the Southwest follow our lead. Lake Havasu City has been really good at conservation for many decades, and others downstream have not been. And so there was also an article in today's paper that Senator Sinema and Senator Kelly have sponsored some legislation for CRIT to be able to lease some of their water entitlements to other communities in Arizona, which will help some of the drought areas throughout our state and the desert Southwest. But I brought together a coalition of other communities that have like-minded interest in water. So there's not a whole lot that we all agree on water, because everyone wants the water for their community. So people just they'll come to the table and they won't talk at all. And so I thought, all right, there has to be something we can agree on. And so I brought together all users within Arizona. It ended up being a coalition of about 25 different communities coming together to talk about water. And what we can agree on is water conservation. So we started there. And we also can agree on some rural water management plans. So That wouldn't necessarily impact Lake Havasu City, but if there was some rural management areas throughout the state of Arizona, it would keep people's eyes off of the Colorado River, which then indirectly helps Lake Havasu City. So we are focused on water. So again, I didn't want to minimize the impact of water, but I just wanted to clarify what that looks like, and that we do have water entitlements for our build out, but we still need to work on water conservation efforts across the entire desert Southwest. This is not just Lake Havasu City, and we hope to show those other communities what we've already done in our community and what is possible in their community, so we can help conserve that water and those water entitlements. So a couple of other things that I want to go before I turn it over to the chiefs is it's now, the weather's beautiful, and when the beautiful weather comes out, we put our boats away and we bring out our off-road vehicles. I just want to remind people that off-road vehicles are able to be used in our desert areas. We ask you to just stay on the trails that are already there. Don't pave your own way. But please be respectful of the neighborhoods that you're traveling through. So those units make a lot of noise. And if you are hot dogging your way up into the desert, it's really annoying for those people that live in those neighborhoods. So please just follow the speed limits and slow down when you're going into the off-road areas. Also, leave your trash at home. So pack it in, pack it out. Don't leave any trace of us being in the desert area. And then also in those shooting areas that you do off of the main roads, just know there's houses right there. And so when you're doing that, just be respectful. Take care. Bring back your case shells and all of the things that you were shooting. And please don't take glass out there and shoot glass or TVs. It's not fun. It's not cool. Don't do that. There are targets that you can use. Let's keep our deserts clean and fresh for all users. And again, just stay on the trails. So I know I said a lot, but I'll turn it over to Chief Doyle, and he'll talk to us about the police department.
All right. Well, welcome to the police department. Pleasure to have all of you. I know a couple of you just came for the free coffee, but I want to talk a little bit about kind of what's housed in this building. For those of you that don't know, we have two different divisions here at the police department. We have operations, which is patrol and detective division, and then we have the support services. And support services is our 911 dispatch center, which is housed here, as well as a municipal jail. We are a little bit unique because typically in Arizona, municipal police departments don't have their own jail. We do have one here. We hold low-risk misdemeanor nonviolent prisoners here, which is typically DUI work release and low-level offenders. We also house the Western Regional Crime Lab, which is run by the state, and they provide crime lab services for this whole region of Arizona. So we got quite a bit going on here. We have about a total of 130 employees that work out of here, counting our part-time employees. 80 of those are sworn police officer positions. That 80 includes myself, supervisory, detectives, patrol, all the way down. We're currently running 4 openings and 6 in training, so we're running about 70 police officers right now on the street. What we do on an annual basis, I'll give you year to date to give you an idea of what we do at the police department. We're running about 40,000 calls for service right now, year to date in Lake Havasu City. Now, when we say calls for service, that includes a little over 20,000 emergency 911 calls, and then another 20,000 of non-emergency calls, as well as on-view activities, which include warrant arrests, DUIs, traffic arrests, and those type of things. We've made over almost 2,200 arrests year to date. People. So kind of give you an idea when you start seeing these numbers and you realize what's happening. Interestingly, and I know probably I'm going to get a lot of questions about traffic. Traffic is always the number one topic and that kind of the number one complaint in Lake Havasu City. And the reason being is we have this really different, unique street layout. Most cities you go to, north, south, east, west, and you've got boulevards, main arteries that people will traverse across the city in and stay out of the neighborhoods. They're not typically driving down neighborhood streets. In Lake Havasu City, we have North Palo Verde, South Palo Verde, but that's just because North Palo Verde runs parallel north of South Palo Verde, and we have a number of streets. It's just unique. So people cut through neighborhood streets as shortcuts. on the way to work, on the way home from work, on the way to school, and it creates a big problem for us on our neighborhood streets. And I frequently get from people, I never see a police officer on my street. We do a lot of traffic enforcement. We typically have anywhere from 6 to 8 police officers on duty at any one time. Remember what I said, we got a staff 24/7, 365 days a year, so it kind of comes out to about 6 to 8 on the street. So far, year to date, we've conducted almost 6,000 traffic stops in Lake Havasu City. We've issued about 3,500 traffic citations. We've made almost 300 DUI arrests, and we've handled over almost 1,000 accidents year to date. Now, out of those accidents, probably 90% of them are non-injury accidents. They're your fender benders, private property type accidents. So we are seeing an increase in the number of accidents, but we're also seeing a dramatic increase in the amount of traffic in town. Anybody that's driving around town can see the highway is jam-packed during the day. Our streets, our downtown areas. We just have an incredible traffic flow in town right now with the number of people we've got. Now, one of the things that we have is we have a traffic unit which they handle all the complaints that come in. So when you call us and say, hey, I've got speeding vehicles on my street, it goes into the active complaint. And what we do is we'll schedule our speed trailer to get it up on your street, and we'll follow that up with enforcement and try to hold that enforcement as long as we can before we move on to the next street. Right now we have actual 29 active complaints, so that's 29 streets that we have active, residential streets typically, that we have active complaints that we're cycling our 2 radar trailers through and then cycling additional enforcement. But we also have about 450 miles of streets that we try to cover and to get traffic control on. So that's kind of a rundown. I know you're going to have questions for me on traffic. Can give you an idea of what we're seeing on domestic violence is another question I get. So far this year, we've had almost 600 domestic violence calls, and we've made approximately 400 domestic violence arrests. That number kind of ebbs and flows a little bit, but we do monitor that very closely. Drugs are a big thing that I'm getting a lot of questions on. We're seeing an increase across the state in drugs. Right now, the word that I'm sure all of you hear, we talk about opioids, but what's also happening is fentanyl. Fentanyl is a real killer right now. And we've got a lot of drugs flowing across the border. The cartels are pushing counterfeit pills across the border. That's the thing right now. And we're seeing a lot of that throughout the state. We're regularly seizing large amounts of those. And it's the fentanyl that they're putting in those. And what happens is people are using these pills. They smoke the pills typically, and they get used to using them, but there's no regulation on how much fentanyl or what's actually in them. So all of a sudden they take a heavy hit of fentanyl and they overdose. And then that's something where the fire department gets involved. We all carry Narcan so that the officers carry it so that we can try to revive people when we respond to the overdoses. But right now we're just seeing a heavy influx of drugs. If you watch the news, our county drug task force, Magnet, we've had some big seizures here coming on I-40. A lot of drugs are being transported. They're coming across the border in Arizona, California, and they're in Texas and New Mexico, and then they're running it up, hitting the interstates, and then they're running it back east. It's a prime time to be pushing drugs across the border, and they are taking advantage of it. So there's definitely a big influx. We are actively working it. We go after the drug dealers in town very aggressively, and not only do we go after the local drug dealers, but then we try to find out where their source is coming from, and if we can work with that locale to go after where their source was, to kind of go one step back, and it buys us more time, because you take out one drug dealer, another one comes about. The business moves to someone else. But typically, multiple drug dealers will be getting their drugs from the same source, whether it be in California, whether it be in southern Arizona. So if we can work with those task forces and those agencies and take that person out, it creates a vacuum and it takes a little while to recover from that. So that's it. I think we're going to wait till the end for questions. And
We'll do questions at the
Yeah.
end on all of them. So thank you, Chief Doyle.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Pete Pilafas, Fire Chief. Been here 18 months. Want to give you some education about the fire department. We currently operate 6 stations. We are an all-hazard fire department, so that means that we do fire, rescue, and emergency medical services. Year to date right now, service has been on pace to exceed last year. So that means that obviously you're using our services, which is good that we have it. Sometimes it's bad that you have to use us, but I just want to remind everybody that I don't ever want you to be scared to call 911. If you have a problem, call us. Out of the 6 stations that we have the main one right here, Station 1, that staffs our medic unit, our truck, and an engine, and we cross-staff our truck and engine here, just utilizing our resources to its full capability. We have Station 2 down on the Kiowa, which is our hazmat unit, and we staff an engine out of there, and that's our training grounds. That's where we do most of our training for continuous firefighting training and emergency medical services too. Station 3 is on the south side. Very big station in regards to one of our highest call volume areas there because of a just geographical area that when we set up the responses for the city. They also run desert rescue, so we have a Polaris out there to go out to Sarah's Park. I'm very happy that we are taking some proactive approaches towards education in regards to Sarah Park, putting signage out there, so people just need to be smart when it gets hot out here not to go out there, or make sure that you are prepared for your adventure out there. Definitely beautiful landscape, been out there several times with the kiddos, but the thing is you gotta be smart about it. So just having some public education, and most of the time the locals here, we're very smart about it because we know it's our visitors that sometimes have trouble and we go out there and rescue them. Station 4 is on Palo Verde. It's up in the northern area. That is our technical rescue. We have a medium rescue and we have an engine company out of there, and that also provides technical rescue, our confined space rescue. Here in Lake Havasu, we're very self-sufficient. We are the primary confined space and technical rescue team for our public works department, especially when they do maintenance. So they're going to call us if they need a rescue or if anybody's out in the desert to provide rescue. Station 5 is down on Lake Havasu Avenue, one of the original stations that's shared with United Way. That is our boat operations. So we have an engine out of there, and then they actually respond to contact point where we house our boats if we have any instances out on the boat, and we respond out there. Station 6 is our airport, all right? I have to commend them. They did an excellent job with the recent mishap that we had there, emergency landing, and they were right on spot. They actually saw it. I commend my entire department for that and having that airport crash truck there because it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Even though we don't have commercial flights coming in here, but we do have a very busy local airport. So it's essential that we have that. We do provide, we have ALS, so that's advanced life support. I have medics, paramedics on all of our engines. So that's if you have a cardiac arrest, any medical emergency, you're getting the best advanced care from the Lake Havasu City Fire Department. I just want to stress that to you, that we have paramedics on all of our rigs. Currently, right now, again, like I would tell you, when I ran the statistics, we are at roughly about 8,700 calls, and that's fire, rescue, emergency medical services. Year to date, we've had 35 structure fires, all right? That is an increase. Well, we had those incidents back, I want to say in February, where we had someone basically keeping us busy for that period of time, but we had the resources, and it was calculated timing, let's just say. It was definitely on our radar, but with a combination of the police, we took care of the situation. So you're all safe. What I'm so proud about our department and just the city alone, that the support that we receive from the citizens with our fire department and public safety. We're here for you, 24 hours a day, 365 days, all right? We want to help you, but I also want to educate you how we can prevent you from calling us too. So that's key too. We can work together by educating you. Right now at the fire department, total members I have is 86. All right, I have 73 that are allotted for shift personnel. I have a minimum of 21 staffed per day. That is the number that we keep on staffing to meet the needs of our city. Currently, I have 4 vacancies. I have a lot of retirements that are occurring. It's when you hire everybody at once, they all want to leave at once. But the thing is, I'm planning for that. So I'm so proud that we have a partnership with the local high school, the council support, the unified school district support to start a career technical education program at the high school. It was needed. It's so important it was needed. That is the future of our department. That's the future of our city. So I'm so happy that we're starting January 3rd, exciting program. Hopefully we'll see the return on investment maybe 3 to 5 years, but at least we have a start and we have a plan. So that's an important program that we're starting. Another one that sometimes doesn't get the publicity that they need, but our CERT team of volunteers that help the fire department is essential. And I'm so happy that they actually put in service their new rehab unit. And that rehab unit's not only for the fire department, it's for the city. They provide essential services for us for rehab when the hot days. They cool off our firefighters. They help us with our packs. They'll help PD on SWAT incidents if they need to. They do special events. They're so active, and that's what I'm so impressed about this community is the people that volunteer and basically want to be here to help each other. That's what I'm so passionate about here, and that's what I love about this city is everybody works together to have successful outcomes. A couple other things that we're working on in the fire department. Again, with our recruitment, I have tried many methods to get individuals to come out to Havasu. And the thing is, I've changed our requirements to just hire paramedics, and I'll train them to be firefighters. I've also I'm trying right now, is to hire firefighter EMTs, and I'm going to train them to be paramedics. So I'm investing in our employees. If you want to come here, I want to invest in you too. The thing is, when a person from, say they had no education in just basically a high school diploma, it takes roughly about 42 months for them to get the training that they need to operate and be, I'll not say productive, but a member of our department that basically they can ride in the crew with their firefighting abilities and their paramedic abilities. So there's time invested in an individual, and I want to invest in our community because it's going to assist us with our future. Another plan that's coming down, I do a state of the department with my department to give us a vision of what we're going to do for our fiscal year. And what it is a roadmap of what we're going to accomplish. And that's set through the planning process, through budgeting. And our plan that this year is to basically do a comprehensive study of our department. It's going to look at us, look at our station locations, look at our call demand, look at my staffing. It's really going to do an analysis of the entire department, not only fire, but emergency medical services. So I look forward to that. When I first came here in the first 2 weeks, they were like, well, we're Station 7. It's like, I don't know. So I'm like, just allow me to do some analysis. And that's what I'm really driven on data, all right? Want to making sure that we're making the correct decisions that we have based on facts. I mean, not so much always on the heart. It's just looking at it and making rational decisions and planning for it. I mean, since I've been here 18 months, I've seen just a boom in Lake Havasu growing. And the thing is, our services have to eventually grow with it too, but it takes time. It's like we don't need to shock the system all at once. But that's what I'm here. I'm very pleased with the support that I get from Jess, the council, Dan. I've felt very welcome, and my family have felt very welcome here too. And I just appreciate it. I'm honored to actually be your chief, all right? And I want to put us in a different direction. So, thanks. I'll just wrap up.
Oh, sure, yeah. If you have anything else, yeah. It seems like they like what you're saying, so keep going. Yeah.
So I just, again, a pleasure. We still have a lot of work to do. There are things that in the fire department, looking for other sources of revenue, we received an AFG grant for getting all new T cameras. All right, that's an essential. A TIC camera is a thermal imaging camera, so when our firefighters go into a structure and they can basically see through smoke and get heat signatures. All right, so it's a quicker response to basically find someone if they're trapped. All right. The thing is, I can't stress the importance of having working smoke detectors. We have a program. All right, battery-operated smoke detectors will come out and basically help you, assist you, put them in. That's essential. The most important thing is just having the public education too, is again, educating you about the fire department and what services we have. I want to have more outreach programs, all right, to get involved in the community. When we talked about cleaning up, I'm part of the Rotary Club, and I took my kiddos and we went out and cleaned out the desert, and my kids lasted, they were pretty good, they lasted about an hour. And they're like, Dad, look at all the garbage, and we were right along the roadway, and I'm just like, God, I'm like, but you know what? This is what I love about the community is that we'll take and we'll go out and take care of the problem. But we also need to stress the importance is if you come to our city, take care of our city too. We have to stress that too. So I look forward to a lot of things for 2022. We got a lot of good plans coming into the fire department. Again, here, if you have any questions or anything like that, down the road, I mean, we'll get the questions, but the thing is, you can reach out to me. You don't have to bother the mayor and the city manager. You can just come direct to me. And if I can't solve it, I'll find someone else that basically can help. And the thing is, here in the city, what I love about it, we're all a team. We all work together to serve you. And the nice part is, again, I tell you, it's an honor to be here in the city with you, and I serve a community that I live in. My family's growing up here. I basically, we all feel the same pain together sometimes, but we all feel the same joys and activities that we have together. I finally, when I came during COVID, it was a different Havasu. And now this year, it's a totally different Havasu with all the events. And my wife's like, well, where are we going today? You know? And it's just like we can always do something and we do it together. And that's what I appreciate it. So.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Chief. Yeah. One of the areas that Chief Pilafas has been instrumental in is reducing response time. So obviously, if we can get to someone that needs assistance quicker, the outcomes hopefully are better. So, Chief, you want to talk a little bit about that work that you've done to reduce those response times? Oh,
absolutely, Mayor. One of the things that when I came into the fire department, it's obviously doing a lot of analysis, a lot of background, talking to our firefighters. All right, I heard a lot, and you know what? One of the things I heard a lot about was 2008. All right, how everything kind of just went south. But to the other point is, I looked at our response times of how long it takes us to process a call from dispatch to getting in the rig and responding. So, and the thing is, these are ideas that where I came from. All right, I came from the Midwest. We had the same CAD system that you did, a lot of very similarities that I had. And what we did was we actually had CAD screens in each of our stations. So when a dispatcher types in a call, hits enter, it automatically live feeds right into our station, and it goes up on the board. So now if they're in the station, they're already getting a jump on the call before they even get dispatched. There'll be times that we've actually reduced on an average about 45 seconds off of our time responding. Those minutes are essential, especially when you have an emergency, all right? And the thing is, basically I had the idea, got the support from the members. At one time they were just like, well, why do we need this, Chief? And I just said, just give me some time. It's gonna prove that, you know what, you're gonna get out quicker. And every month, it started getting better and better. And we piloted at one station, and then basically we have it at all of our stations. We're finishing up one more, and you could see the difference in our response time quicker because it's live. Right when the dispatcher hits enter, it pops up on their screen, and they see it. And the thing, and the amazing part is we have AVL system, which is basically a locator. So we have beacons on our rigs that tells the dispatch where we go, and we use the closest responded unit to get there quicker. It's really, truly about time and making sure that we have the proper resources. But that was something that didn't really cost very much money. We're using technology to our advantage. And now sometimes when if the system does crash, you can hear the guys complain. So they complain when it was getting up, and then they complain when it's down. But now they can see each other. And they're just like, well, what are you doing in this area? And it's just interesting. It's a great concept of using it to get to you quicker. And that's something I'm very proud of, too, that we were able to implement that at a very reasonable cost. And it really was for all of you, the quality of service.
Yeah, thank you. And then Another great event that's coming up that's very popular is the hazardous household waste is coming up again this month. This has been very popular over the last few years. So, Chief, it's at your station.
Sure,
so,
sure.
Yes.
So we actually changed this right when I came. I don't try to always change anything, but we were doing it at the Public Works. And we kind of saw a different traffic jam up there. So we've always, obviously talking to a lot of individuals, we hosted it at Station 2 before, so let's try it again. And last year was very successful. We had less traffic, less impact, and we have a nice drive-through process. And why not use those grounds? So on December 11th, next Saturday, between 8 and 12, we have a hazardous waste day. Now, there are some limitations. You can't bring a truck full of tires. So there is a list of things that you can get rid of. So just make sure you get in line, and it's a great event, especially just cleaning up stuff, the old paint, and anything that you have to get rid of, because we do not want it in our landfills. Okay? And I don't want you to throw it out in the desert. And I know none of you would ever do that, but the thing is, this is the opportunity for us to, do some I'll call it spring cleaning, but winter cleaning for us, and bring the stuff by, and it's a great partnership up with Republic.
Yes.
It's at Station 2 on Kiowa, but here, please, you're going to enter off a college. Okay, there's going to be street signs for you. We don't want you off of Kiowa. It's going to be it's laid out. We did a real good job, and you're going to enter off of college, come back through the station, drop off, and then drive through and exit off of Kiowa. So College Road is where you're going to enter off of.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Chief. A couple other updates, and then we'll turn it over to answer any questions that you may have. We are in the process of repaving McCulloch. So McCulloch from Smoke Tree down to Acoma has been awarded by the council to get repaved. It was supposed to happen the first week of December, but the downtown merchants did not want that to happen during the holiday season. So they've requested that we do it right after the new year. So in early January, that area from Acoma down to Smoke Tree will be having new pavement. So it's going to be a bit of a cluster in that downtown area. So just use caution while you're there. We'll have to use Swanson and Mesquite to get around that downtown area, but it'll be back up and ready for the events that will be on that Main Street area in February. So we also, the holidays are here, obviously. In Lake Havasu City, we've already had some great events occur. The lighting of the annual Christmas tree down at Wheeler Park occurred last weekend. The village is all lit up, and the new bridge lights look fantastic. So if you have not been down to check that out, please do so. It'll be going all the way through the new year, but it's amazing down there. And then the downtown decorations will be, actually are being installed today. So those will be up and ready to go. We also have the community dinner, which is next Friday, December 11th. There's two different seatings, so we serve about 1,000 people, and it's basically the community coming together to serve the community. So there's two seatings of 500 people each. The first one is at 4 p.m., and the second one is at 6 p.m. So if you want to do that, come on down and join us, and there'll be a great fellowship. Santa will be there, gifts for the children. So it's a great fun event down at the community center, again on Friday, December 11th, two seatings, either 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. Next Friday. Oh, the 10th. I'm sorry. Thank you. Friday the 10th. Yeah, Friday, December 10th is the community dinner. Thank you. Is that the Aquatic Center? Yes.
Very good.
Yes. Yeah, Luann goes every year, so yes, you do. It's a good event. You should be proud of that. So before we open it up to questions, I do want to introduce some of my colleagues that are with me. We have Councilmember David Lane is joining us. Good morning. And we have Councilmember Cameron Moses. Thank you for being here. And so with that, we'll open it up to any questions you may have. Donna. I'm sorry. Councilmember Lane's going to go around with a mic. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to say both of our chiefs do amazing work, and we so appreciate everything you do for us.
Thank you.
Truly, we do. But, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to ask, just so that, because people have been asking me, are our winter blast people coming this year?
Yes.
They are? And
Yes.
do you know the dates off the top
It's
of your
President's Day weekend.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
That's
so
good.
President's Day weekend, that's the Western Area Pyrotechnic Association. We know it as the fireworks in February, but it actually is a convention that comes to Lake Havasu City. It's a convention of pyro enthusiasts that come to show their newest and latest and greatest wares and fireworks. So, but yes, over President's Day weekend. Yeah, Kim.
I don't have a question, but I just want to let people know that next Tuesday, December 7th, the Marine Corps League is having a ceremony. We're putting on display our USS Arizona relic that the Navy entrusted to our league. The times will be from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Come on down and see a part of history. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim.
I'm sorry, under the bridge.
Yeah. Under the London Bridge on Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, the Marine Corps League has worked really hard to get this relic, part of the USS Arizona, to Lake Havasu City. We will have a permanent display location at London Bridge Beach Park in the future, but obviously for Pearl Harbor Day, we wanted to partner with the Marine Corps League, so thank you for that, Kim. Yes?
I have a question in regards to, we talked about the water situation and that. Okay, thanks, David. And I'm concerned more with our medical than I am the water. Especially like this time of year when the winter birds are here, snowbirds are here. It's really hard to get in a medical facility, an office, let alone the hospital. And the micro hospital the signs have been up for a really long time. What is the forecast of that? Because we do need, especially if we're going to add 400 homes or more, it's going to up our need for medical.
Sure.
A lot of us are retired and is in the hospital a lot. So that's my question. And then my other is for you in regards to, we live across from Lowe's, so that little section is county. The Desert Hills, that's not part of your...
No, it's
Okay.
Desert Hills is not a part of the fire department.
That's what I
They're
thought.
their own separate entity, a fire district. So we do work closely with them, but in the county area, they protect.
Well, my thing was we had an emergency, and by the time I got routed to the right fire department, all of it passed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just might be just quick communication. I know sometimes, and the thing is, it's just actually looking at the data. You know when you call someone, you feel like it takes for hours to get there? And the thing is, it's just looking at the data and see how long did that actually take them. But I know during an emergency, we want everything to happen now, but the thing is, we're doing our best, our ability to get you as quick as possible. Right, but it's all about the notification, and you're absolutely right, going through the routing process to getting to the right dispatch center. But we do work with dispatch. County goes to the county, and maybe Dan can elaborate how the process goes, but it's just looking at that time response for them when they get notified.
Yeah, for Lake Havasu City, the local PSAP 911 dispatch center for Lake Havasu City is here in this building, but county all goes to the dispatch center in Kingman, to the Mojave County Dispatch Center, and then they'll be dispatched from there.
When it comes
Chief
to
Doyle.
medical, I'll answer the medical question, then we'll go to your question. So when it comes to medical, we work with the private sector. Medical is a private sector to help recruit and attract different folks that are here. The micro hospital signs, that's just a private developer that owns land that is trying to see if that's a viable option for them or not. There are some advancements that will be coming when it comes to VA and VA availability in our community, and some other medical facilities, including the partners that we already have. So the hospital has repurposed the urgent care that was located over at the shopping center on Kiowa to more of a pediatric center, so that they always are evolving in those areas. We don't have a direct role, but we do have a support role, and we take that very seriously to ensure that we have enough practitioners to take care of our citizens in Lake Havasu City. So yeah, thank you.
Chief Doyle, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Do you partnership with the FBI? I ask that question because all the drugs that are pouring in the nation, I mean, we are on the front lines here. That's my question. Do you partner with them?
Well, when it comes to drugs, probably the partnership there is more with DEA than with the FBI. The DEA's prime mission is drug enforcement. So we have a DEA office actually out of this building, and then they work with our task force up in Kingman. So we have right now 2 or 3 DEA agents stationed for this region, and we work very closely with them when it comes to combating illegal drugs.
Many years ago, I used to see a Border Patrol car here in the morning, and I don't see it anymore. Is there less of a cooperation now due to the national crisis we're having?
So number one, I would say is I'm a big fan of the Border Patrol agents. They're hardworking, and they are very conscientious about their job, and we've always had a great relationship with the Border Patrol. They've always, whenever we've dealt with an immigration issue up here, it's one phone call, and they were right up here to assist us and help out. Unfortunately, their mandates change, and while the agents and the regional agents do everything they can to help us out, they're also, they're in a very difficult spot right now. The majority of their agents they've pulled off and are actually doing detention duties and processing. So they do not have that many agents available for any interior patrol or enforcement. You'll notice between here and Yuma, the checkpoint is shut down, and there's no Border Patrol checkpoint on State Route 95 coming up from Yuma. They've pulled a lot of those interior checkpoints, and they've diverted their Border Patrol agents to processing the people that are coming across the border. So you're probably not going to see the same level of presence that we've seen in the past.
Mayor, there's a facility on Swanson for hospital. Do you have any more information on that?
Yeah, that's what this lady was asking about. There's a sign that says micro hospital coming soon. That's, again, a developer that owns that land that's looking to see if that's a viable option for other people to be interested in investing in something along those lines. But there are no plans at the city. They haven't submitted for permits. Nothing is really moving forward on that at this time. Bonnie?
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Chiefs. I have an odd question that I'd like to ask is, and I was late, so I didn't get to hear the chief talk, which I'm really sad about that. I'll have to go watch it back live on Facebook later. And my question has to deal with mental health issues and how you guys are all addressing those issues in our city and our school children.
I can start, and then I'll turn it over to the chief on what they do when they encounter something along those lines. Behavioral health is a really large issue across America. There's not enough behavioral health practitioners available throughout our communities. And so we work with the different firms that provide mental health or behavioral health services to citizens to be able to try and recruit more of those services, increase use of technology, so that they can have Zoom meetings, those types of things, which not ideal, but it's still, at least it's something. But we are doing the best that we can to attract more of those folks there and getting more resources from the larger firms that come. And then Chief, I know you have some practices you do when your team has to roll up on something that needs behavioral health.
Well, a little bit of history on it. Many decades ago, they pulled back a lot of the mental health. Anybody that, do I have any retired law enforcement in here? So anybody who was in law enforcement a number of years ago, they pulled back on a lot of the mental health hospitals, mental health facilities, and there were no services, and it just got dropped in the lap of local police departments. And all of a sudden, police officers have to deal with the mental health issues. Now we suddenly get to a point where all of a sudden everybody's saying, why is the police department why are police officers dealing with mental health issues? What are you thinking? And well, we never asked for it. We'd rather not be the ones to have to go and deal, because we're not psychologists, psychiatrists, we're not therapists, we're not trained. We don't have that level of training to deal with it. Unfortunately, there's not enough services, and we get the phone calls. People will call the hotlines and call some of the places, and then they call us to say, hey, the person's threatening to harm themselves or something. So they will call us to deal with it. So now we have to go out and we have to deal with a person that may be threatening suicide, may be threatening to harm themselves, or that somebody's just concerned about, and they're now asking us to go check on them and make sure they're all right. So we're very careful with those. We do training with our officers on how to deal with a person, how to recognize a mental health issue, how to deal with it. But our main goal is to, number one, verify that they're okay, and then try to get them to the resources that we can get them to. What we don't want to do is we don't want to show up and cause a confrontation with a person because the hotline called and said, hey, this person said they were going to harm themselves, and then we show up and we end up into a use of force situation with a person that was threatening, which is a real danger. So we have a real hands-off approach with that. Is we'll try to call the person first to say, hey, we're checking on you, we'd like to talk to you, not surprise them. We'll talk to family members to say, hey, what's the best way to approach this person? Do they have a meeting coming up that they're going to be going to that we could kind of be there and to meet with them and to talk to them? So we look at all sorts of alternatives rather than going beating on a door and ending up into a confrontation with a person. But we work with the school district. As far as your question about the youth, I have 2 officers, one permanently stationed in the high school, one in the middle school, school resource officers, and they're up there as a liaison between the school and the police department as well as the students. So they work very closely with the schools to avoid some of the situations that we are seeing happening around the country. So we're very cognizant of mental health issues. It is on the rise. We're running Title 36 transports. So state law requires us to do transports for the mental health agencies when somebody gets committed. So that is an everyday thing that we're transporting people up to mental health units in Kingman, as well as getting calls. Just the other day, we had like 5 pending calls for pickups of mental health, as well as welfare checks on people that we were getting referred to from mental health organizations. So,
yeah, we also work with through the court system. So the judge is, if someone finds themselves in the court system, then Judge Kalali through the municipal court works to get them into behavioral health solutions. And then both of the departments, the Chief Doyle spoke about the high school and the middle school resource officer, but they also teach NOVA in elementary school. So they start to build a relationship with the police officers so they have a trusted source. So in addition to the school counselors and those folks, they have relationships with officers that then continue as they get into the middle school and the high school. And then with the fire department, they also have education officers or...
Public education.
Okay. Yeah, that head to the elementary schools as well. So they build relationships too.
Absolutely.
So.
One of the benefits to that is the NOVA program that we teach in 5th grade. We teach it in 5th, 7th, and again in the high school. So we had a similar program, if anybody remembers the DARE program. Well, I taught the DARE program back in like 1990. I was 5 years old. But I taught that program back then, and the benefits to that is it's not only are we providing education to these young people on decision making and safety and all the things that we do, but it does establish a relationship between them and the police officers. And a great example of that is there's community members, there's business owners in this town that I was their DARE instructor, and people that still live here that now have children that are in school that I was their DARE instructor, and I had developed a relationship with them, and we see the benefits of that they feel comfortable talking to us, and they will go to their school resource officer. So at the high school, that's a frequent thing when students are having problems. They will go to the school resource officer or their NOVA instructor, because we have we'll have anywhere from 8 to 10 patrol officers that will take 2 hours out of their week, and they'll go teach a couple NOVA classes. So, excuse me, their students will reach out to them when they have an issue.
What about the Health Foundation? Do they have any mental health?
Yeah, we work with the Health Foundation. Yeah, we work with anybody in town that's working in mental health or any type of advocacy. We work with anybody that we can collaborate with to benefit the community, we will.
Yeah, we have a lady with the mic in the back. Yes.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the police department, fire department. You guys have been doing a wonderful job. I've been in Havasu for 31 years. My question is, I live on the north side. I'm on Bombay. So the cross streets for us would be Palo Verde North and Lake Havasu Avenue. Well, that's become a big thoroughfare from people to get from Palo Verde North to Lake Havasu Avenue. and it's become a speedway. In fact, a week ago, there was an accident across the street from my house. I heard it, woke me up at 3 in the morning, and somebody speeding up Bombay, coming off of Lake Havasu Avenue, hit my neighbor's mailbox. And I thought it hit a dog, because that's the screeching sound I heard. But how can we get one of those little signs that tell you 25, how your speed you're going? Because like I said, it's getting really
You
crazy.
just call the police department, and,
Okay.
and we put you on the list, and we get the trailer
Okay.
over there as soon as it becomes available.
Okay.
But we got you, Bombay Drive, we'll take care of that for you.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
Councilmember Lake, perfect. Karen?
A little, just short background on this question. When they asked the Amish why they didn't have any cases of COVID, they said, well, we don't own a TV. Well, they did have cases, but they were so, they just thought it was the flu, so they just took care of it. In contrast, this question is for Mayor Kate, and good morning to the chiefs as well.
Good morning.
This is my question. You joined the COVID propaganda task force before there was even one case here in our city of COVID. Now, what I want to know is your justification. Was it to create fear? Was it, I'm not sure, and it was a little compromising, because a lot of us don't think it could have been that big a deal. Many places, there are pockets in the world where they just kind of ignored it and treated it like a flu, and it went on. But yet you felt it was necessary to be part of a COVID propaganda task force before we even had one case here. We could have just kind of rode this out pretty well. So justification, who was with you on this decision? How did it affect finances in our city? That would be my question.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, so what you're referring to is there was a group of medical providers that early in March were coming together about what this was, what COVID was, what coronavirus was. I attended an informal meeting with a bunch of medical professionals. Out of that, one of them decided to create a Facebook page called the Havasu Task Force. And that was it. I was not an admin on the page. There was no formal task force. There was nothing structured. It was a bunch of medical providers that I asked if I could also sit in to see what it was that they were going to be doing prior to COVID. It didn't impact funding at all. It didn't impact any of those types of things. I do think that Lake Havasu City fared very well through the coronavirus process, making very level-headed, balanced decisions as we move forward. And so I hope that answers the question that you had. Yeah, that's.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chiefs.
Morning.
We were talking about the seriousness of mental health and what's going on. We're now, the Marine Corps League here locally is a Be Connected partner. Downstate, the Arizona Department of Veteran Services, headed up by retired Air Force Colonel Wanda Wright, and also the Arizona Coalition for Military Families, headed up by Thomas Winkle. We're working on a preemptive program. It's called the upstream prevention of the issues that you are dealing with every day. And one of our parts of our program is getting community partners, especially ministers, those people that work in social health, mental health, and trying to pull those resources out of the community. And it could be you, it could be any one of us that is experiencing a contact with someone who is upstream if we don't address the issue. Is it food, is it clothing, is it housing, is it something that we can deal with to prevent that from getting downstream to the point where it becomes a crisis? So I'd urge you, we're going to be putting out announcements in the community upcoming about the Be Connected Arizona Coalition of Military Families, and looking for community partners. They could be organizations, they could be individuals, they could be ministers, they could be people who work in social work. Come on aboard and become a coalition within the community to prevent this to becoming the crisis And that's what this is all about. So when you start hearing and seeing messages on social media, in the newspaper, on the radio about be connected, pay attention and perhaps even put your hand up. Okay? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Russ.
This is testing. This is for the chief. The Black Bear Diner fire, it was, I think it was kind of downplayed a little bit in the newspapers, and it's still closed. Any update? Was it as more serious than we thought? You call the restaurant number and you just get a message that they'll be opening sometime down the future, but it doesn't seem very enthusiastic. I'm just wondering.
Sure. The thing is, I'm not sure if the downplay, any fire is serious. The thing is, it did originate in the kitchen, and obviously that's the heart of what they do. They provide us food. So the thing is, it did do significant damage. And that smoke damage actually went throughout the restaurant. So with the combination of the health department working with them, it's just having that partnership to get them back on board. And I tell you, that's why it's so important to have continuity plans. So the thing is, if something does happen, that's even at your house too, of what you're going to do. And the thing is, we're here to assist in getting them the process that they have to work with, obviously the health department, the building department, to get them back in service. I love the diner too. I miss them too. So the thing is, it's just trying to get them back in service, but the thing is, there's a process. And the thing is, making sure that it's safe for all of us, that's the important thing. And the thing is, it's having that continuity plan. If something does happen to you, what do we do to make it work? So I hope that answers some of your question.
Yeah, I haven't had breakfast since they had the fire.
Okay, this question is for both chiefs. Thank you again for first responders. With the, I can't call it a vaccine because it has no FDA approval, so the jab, please tell me neither one of you are planning on giving all the people underneath you, ever forcing them to take something that doesn't even help against the variants and has so much research out there on the blood clots and the heart. Please, both of you assure that this community, that no one will ever be forced to take it in your departments.
No, I speak for both of us that we're not doing that, but it's more the city's not.
Yes.
The city's not requiring that of us and has no intentions of doing that. So.
Yeah, we're recorded right now.
We're being recorded. If you have a question, I'll come to you next.
I'll write it down right now if you'd like. I mean.
Good morning, Mayor and Chiefs. My question kind of falls along the lines of genders here. My wife's a nurse. She was recently mandated to be vaccinated, just like the staff at Havasu Regional Medical Center, or face losing their jobs. So my question is, going forward, what will you do, Mr. Mayor, to protect the members of our community from these ultimatums?
Yeah, so the courts have upheld that it's not legal to have that requirement. So CMS just pulled back, which was what the last thread was, that was basically threatening medical workers, and that was because of a funding issue. So CMS is the funder for Medicare, and they were concerned about that. But CMS has now pulled back, OSHA's pulled back, and the courts upheld it in the 5th District. So it's just not an issue. So, but now if a private employer so chooses, I mean, that is within their purview to do that.
The newspaper states the hospital stated that for a moment they're not going to mandate that. That's kind of ambiguous. So
Sure.
We'd like some more support that our members of the community are not going to face losing their jobs.
Sure.
And I just, what the CMS says, okay, that's what they say today. Everything changes like the weather.
It does change very, very quickly.
I just, what you personally or as the mayor can do to help that.
Yeah, so we're in support that citizens have personal choice and personal freedoms when it comes to if they want to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine, if they want to get tested or not get tested. We've worked on every angle to provide the resources available to citizens to make the decisions that are best for them and their family, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I stated my piece because we know the code works.
I guess I can direct this to the police department. Due to the recent incident down at ASU, some of these students are saying, debt to America and down with capitalism. This is more like FYI. When I hear that, we have a little satellite campus in town here, just FYI, and just kind of keep an eye on, these people are crazy. That's basically.
Yeah, and I would also say, though, there is a difference between our satellite campus and what you're seeing down there. Typically, the students that come to this satellite campus, a lot of them grew up here in Havasu. They're our kids. And then people that come here because they like this lifestyle and this quality of life that we call America. And so we typically don't see that level of activism here at the local campus.
Black Lives Matter was here.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is for the fire chief, and I was probably one of the first people to bother you about Fire Station 7. I appreciate your time. Can you talk about the ambulances you guys purchased and how that program's working with AMR and what criteria you guys are using for response?
Sure. I'll touch base. When we purchased the medic units, it was basically two parts. Number one part is basically to stop running some of our engines on low acuity calls and basically saving them for, not saying the real emergency, but for the fires aspect of it, and the wear and tear on our engines. I could take a Ford F-450 and continuously run it instead of running, an $800,000 piece of apparatus. And the second part was just in case if River Medical was not able to provide, we were able to provide you to get you to definitive care. So that's the two parts that was a driving, because there's no redundancy in the system here. So what we did, and I came to council, is create that redundancy. And the thing is, it's really on part for all of you to make sure that if they're unable, just during hard times, that the city would be there to help you and get you to the hospital.
I appreciate it. And how often does that happen? Has it come to that yet?
Yeah, you know what? I track it on a monthly basis since I've been here. So it basically fluctuates. And the thing is, it really has to do with staffing too. So we continuously talk with management, and we work through different problems if they have, and it's working together to serve you. So on average, I mean, it might be a couple times, it might be 5 times a month. It just depends on the call volumes. And here's the thing here in our city is, if all of you call 911 at one time, we're not going to be there all at the same time. I don't have the resources. So it's prioritizing. And the thing is, we do have concurrent calls. I mean, there are times that we are busy. And the thing is, the majority of the calls that we serve are our residents. 66%. And I track this, and the data is this your primary resident or not? So the thing is, we use the services for the community. This is the services for you. So, we're obviously the study and analysis will assist me with making better decisions, but that was the reason with the medic units, and it's working out really well because I have that to serve all of you.
This is for both of the chiefs. In past experience, we've seen other communities in the first responders workforce erode due to compensation issues. Are you guys fairly confident that your workforce is fortified enough to, keep other communities from trying to hire off our Havasu personnel?
Yeah, one of the things that we did, and the council had just voted for that, passed that as part of our budget, is a new compensation plan that was put in place with this current budget. So it was an equitable pay band to comparable cities in Arizona. The biggest thing that we run into, and this isn't just police, fire, but this is for our entire city government, all our departments, public works, our engineers, our accountants, everybody, is the difficulty of moving here is we don't have bedroom cities for Lake Havasu City. So people being able to find a rental, they can't find housing. And so what we're running across is we have citywide, we have 50 open positions right now. So we're running about 10% open positions across the city. And what's happening is people are actually accepting jobs and then calling back and withdrawing because I can't find a place to live. And sometimes they say, well, I found a place, but it's $2,200 a month for a 1,100 square foot thing, and they're like, I'm not going to move my family up to that and pay that kind of money. So that's a real difficulty right now that we're having across the board with our city departments, is recruiting and getting people, and that's why Pete was talking about we're really focused on a heavy emphasis on recruiting from within Lake Havasu City. You're getting, with their education program for the fire department and the high school, and we do the same thing with our Explorer program and such, as we try to keep these young people, when they graduate from high school, try to keep them in the community, and they're connected to us. This is where they're from, but real difficult right now for people to find a place to live. I have officers that lived in Parker, in Topak, Fort Mojave, Kingman, that are commuting because of the inability to find housing. So, and I think you've probably seen the same thing.
Yeah, and Chief always puts it really well, is, but here's the thing is, appreciate who we have. And that's what we do. We appreciate the staff that we have. You have to want to come here too. And the thing is, we are stressing with the affordable housing. I mean, it is. I just had one individual that was going to come from Douglas, Arizona, was excited. And I contacted all the individuals that were coming from out of town and said, please do your research. Please, before you accept. I know it's exciting. You want to come work for me. I want them to come work for me. This is a great city. I can't say it's a great city government and fire department, police department to work for. The only thing is sometimes I don't have the control. If they have a better opportunity going to Vegas, maybe that's what you want. You want to go to Vegas, all right? But the thing is, too, I'm really stressing about the individuals that we have, keeping the employees that we currently have, because they've been dedicated to us, and homegrowning the ones that we can. And I want to say this is going to be a constant roller coaster that we go through. But the thing is, I think with planning and support, we can make it through. The thing is, when you call 911, and I have someone there.
And one of the interesting things when Pete talks about the roller coaster is, for those of you that were around in 2006, we were having this exact same conversation in 2006. We had the exact same problem, is we couldn't find housing. Housing was so expensive. And then we went into the recession, and then we had about a decade plus of not having that issue. Well, it's back. So as that market goes, we're kind of right back to where we were in 2006. And overall, we don't really have a high turnover of employees. Compared, we get retirements, we get people that'll move, but in the police department, we haven't particularly seen people leaving just strictly because they can get paid more somewhere else. It's usually family issues or some other reason for them doing it, but it typically hasn't been solely just because somebody's going to pay them more money.
I've been approached by a number of people that have moved to our area from Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, where the transient population has exploded because the transient population is immune from COVID, the COVID plague, of course. Due to their great hygiene and living conditions, it seems to be off limits for COVID, of course. And they're seeing some increased activity down near Rotary Park. In the morning, a lot of people are going down to walk on the channel, and I was just wondering what the fire department and the police department are doing to see that that doesn't expand and grow into a larger situation.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's a legitimate concern with what we're seeing in the major cities. So part number one, there's nothing in the law that says during the park hours that a homeless person, jobless person can't be in the park. But what we can do is they can't be there overnight. They can't be there outside of park hours. So we do check to make sure they're not sleeping in the park. We also have a camping ordinance in the city where you can't be camping in the city limits. So those are things that we look for and we do enforce. But you know, I got that call on, hey, they're down there when I go walk. It's a city park. I said I can't check, you know, say, hey, you have to have a certain income level to be in the park, or you have to have a job, or you have to. So there's really nothing legally it can do. daytime. It's just come park hours are over, you have to be out of there. All of us have to be out of there. Nobody can be in the park after hours. So those are all our city parks, we enforce that, all the city areas, and then our camping in the city limits, which goes the same. If you've got a $1 million Prevost motorhome, you can't park it in the city and pop out your side outs and set up camp. So it kind of goes for everybody. So, but I hear what you're saying on that, and that is a legitimate concern. A great example is I'd go to Mission Beach every year, always have done that, and I love hanging out on the beach. And this last year I was there, and I was flatly amazed at just what was going on in the gas lamp district. Just really, my jaw dropped when I was down there for dinner and walking around, just like this is really insane what's happening in these cities. So
another way that citizens can help in this process is if you see somebody that's panhandling, don't give money direct. We have really fantastic nonprofits that offer wraparound services to people that find themselves in these situations. So if your heart's telling you to give to one of those organizations that can help ensure and end the crisis that person's in. But don't give money direct to folks that you might see on a corner.
Yeah, we've got great services. We have a lot of, and the great thing about it is it's non-governmental entities that have stepped up and provide assistance for homeless. Now, you've got different people in different situations. Sometimes you have people, they lose their job, they can't afford the mortgage or they can't afford the rent, and they end up homeless. There's assistance for the people. There's assistance for veterans that find themselves in that situation, or people that have mental health issues in that situation. So we have many different organizations that are going out and contacting those people and offering up the services. We'll participate with the veterans groups to go down and contact any veterans that are a part of that. So there's a lot of resources for people to get help. Like the mayor said, when we see people standing on the, standing on the corner with the sign, getting people, there are plenty of cases where that person's got their car parked over around the corner, and they'll go up and you can make $200-300 a day just doing that. So I would divert those people to the resources that are available to them.
When I lived in Los Angeles, we met with the city attorney and the city police chief, LAPD. They said, do not call these people homeless. If we try to give them shelter, they don't want homeless. Call them transient, because they will refuse. And many broad daylight stabbings, people walking around in the tourist areas in Los Angeles in broad daylight being stabbed by these people. So you have to, and I was told by one of my friends from Oregon, a small city there made it against the law for you to give money to these panhandlers. I think it's a $5,000 fine, and that really stopped a lot of this.
Well, at one point, we're not Los Angeles, so we don't have that, and I think our policies are working here, and we'll be mindful of it. So, Tim?
Mr. Mayor, Tim Murray. I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate the two chiefs. I came from the East Coast through the Midwest, and now I'm here, and it's a great community, just as they say.
Welcome.
And I had the opportunity to be a firefighter at one time and a police commissioner. I've had a great career, but these two gentlemen do a great job. I've seen a lot of departments across North America, and my compliments and my hats off to both of you for the jobs that you do.
Thank you.
One more question. What is the state of the economy here in Lake Havasu?
Excellent question. So Lake Havasu City is in a very good position financially. During the last 18 months, 24 months, sales tax collections have been on the rise. It's been one we've seen increased traffic and flows into our community, so sales tax collections coming from those areas. And then also state law changed in 2018, the Wayfair bill, where folks pay sales tax on online transactions. So the combination of those two things have allowed us to be able to have a good financial outlook. We are doing all of this without an increase in property taxes. In fact, the property taxes will be going down next year with the expiration of the irrigation and drainage district for all property owners in Lake Havasu City. And so we're good stewards of the resources we have. We've made some really critical investments, as the chiefs mentioned, with the change in the pay structure for all city employees. That was a good investment we were able to make, and it stopped some turnover issues that we were having and some issues we were having with recruitment. We've been able to make investments in infrastructure within our community. The Chief Pilafas is working on programs to update the fleet that they have in their department. Chief Doyle is getting police cruisers. So things that we had on deferred maintenance or deferred capital, we're able to work through. We also have a secondary water resource now, or water well. So we have secondary water. So really great critical infrastructure that we've been able to invest in, all without raising taxes at all. So we're in a good position at this point. So thank you.
This is to both the chiefs. A lot of the big cities are losing their personnel, whether they are being fired or leaving on their own. Is there any of them ever contacting you about working here? I mean, both of you said you're understaffed, not by much, but a little bit. Are any of them viable to go to work here?
Yeah, absolutely. So at one point we were down 16 positions. But what we're seeing now is we've picked up an officer from Vegas Metro, from Nashville PD, from Inglewood PD, Los Angeles PD. We've got one in the works from San Diego PD. So we've had Phoenix PD officers contacting us. So yeah, a lot of officers in large agencies are looking to get out of the metropolitan areas. As well as you see Phoenix PD has been down hundreds of officers, and then who knows what's going to happen now that when Phoenix mandated vaccine, there's more officers that have been reaching out since then. So yeah, we have seen an uptick in we call them laterals, that they're already currently police officers and they want to lateral over to our department. So we've seen a significant increase in those applications.
Yeah, I have to say, we've seen an influx of applicants come from at least down the river and some out of state since I changed the requirement to firefighter EMT, and that I would invest in them to go to medic school. So that really opened up my pool for outside candidates. For our paramedic program, in regards to just hiring paramedics, we have had some influx from the local ambulance companies in the area that want to come over. So right now, as we speak, we're interviewing a handful of applicants that are already qualified as firefighter EMTs, and they realize that they would have to go to medic school within, or at least enroll in medic school in 24 months. And then on Monday, we're looking at firefighter paramedics. So is it hundreds? No. Is it 12 to 5? Yes. Again, it's really the affordability to be here too. So, but the thing is, I have to say diligently, at least the chief and I, for public safety, we have been working at different plans to basically attract and be here in Havasu.
Yes.
With the recent popularity of vacation rentals and Airbnbs, is there anything that you're looking at doing to minimize the impact of the local residents?
Yes, thank you for that question. Yeah, we're trying to get back control. So in 2016, the state law changed, and they preempted cities and towns from doing anything in regards to regulations for short-term rentals. In 2014, we recognized that it was an issue, and Lake Havasu City adopted an ordinance to allow us to have a balance, so allow property owners that want to rent out their homes on a short-term basis to do so, but be able to allow us to manage the neighborhood so that our citizens can get a good night's sleep. And so it worked perfect for 2 years until the state decided that they knew better and were not going to allow us to do that. So we've tried to get a bill run in the legislature the last 5 sessions, and we have failed, mostly because Governor Ducey is a champion of the shared economy, and it has to go through the Senate, has to go through the House, and it has to get the governor's signature. And so we haven't been able to successfully do that because certain towns want to get rid of state law altogether, which the governor doesn't support. And others, like us, we'll take a balanced approach. Give us some incremental wins so we can get our citizens a good night's sleep, And then when Governor Ducey's out of office next year, we can vet a governor that will allow us to have local control in our communities because it's an issue that needs to be addressed locally. We've had vacation rentals in Lake Havasu since the 70s. It's all right if we can just manage it. So what we have done over the last year is we changed our noise ordinance. So now we also measure on the C scale, which is the bass that you hear that goes late into the night. We changed that and adopted that, and also made them more stringent in the residential areas so that when Police Chief Doyle and his team get to the house, they have something that they can go after. We're also now tracking all of the calls that we get for service into a vacation rental from both departments so that we have some data to share. I'm actually going to be down in Phoenix on Tuesday morning to speak on a panel with the nationwide state associations for tourism on how we can work together on this issue. And I have been working with Representative Biasucci, and Senator Borelli has joined on, that we're going to be able to run a bill this year that gives us some of those incremental wins. And we think we have all the right players lined up in the right spot that the governor will sign that. And then we're going to vet governor candidates really, really hard to make sure they give us local control on these types of issues going forward. Government closest to the people is the most effective. We're here together to see each other, and we can have these conversations and do what's right for our community. We can't reach out and have to deal with those at the governor's level. So okay, we'll take just a couple more questions because we do have to stop. So we'll start with this lady here, and we'll come up to Ted okay, Councilmember Lane's got you.
Going back to homeless veterans, do you know the current number that are living in the desert now and what agency you go to help those living in the desert?
I don't know the count by veterans only, but every January, the third week of January, is a point in time count that is done for all homeless in our area. And that number last year was 47. Obviously, we're approaching the recount this year. If you're interested in being part of the count process, then you can reach out to me and we'll find out how you get to do that. But 47 was the last count we knew. Hi.
Hi. I want to dovetail on Rotary. Do we have code enforcement on public nudity? Memorial weekend was awful down there. And is there something we could do about that, or is there something already in place?
Yeah, it's not code enforcement. It's basically state law on public nudity, indecent exposure and stuff. So if we catch it, then we can do something about it. No. If we see it, then we can arrest or cite for indecent exposure. Now, one of the things that you see, I mean, there's the statute specifically spells out what's indecent, because what you consider indecent and I consider indecent, I mean, there's things I see that I think are indecent, but they're not covered under state law. But you know, it's like a lot of people say, hey, that woman is exposing her breasts. It's like, well, she's got pasties on, and that's legal. So that's legal. Yes, that's legal. Yes, because how the state defines what portion needs to be covered, the pasties cover that. So, yeah. But if you're down there and you see something and you're concerned about it, call us and we'll come down and deal with it.
Yeah, and on those holiday weekends, Chief Doyle has a whole team down there that you can just talk to one of the officers down there in that unit.
But facial
Ted.
nudity is okay now.
Yeah, Ted. Yeah. All right, Ted. And this will be our last question. We have a hard stop, but.
Mayor, just quickly, I've been hearing rumblings about people buying homes under an LLC and making them into Airbnbs. Does that give the city a loophole at all in dealing with problems caused? Could we treat them like a motel?
Yeah, great question, but the answer is no, and that's happening all over. These large multinationals are buying out homes and whole neighborhoods in some areas, and it's really causing an issue. But our future legislation, yes, we have eyes on that as well for the short-term rentals. So, all right, it's been a real pleasure having you. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday Season, and Happy New Year. Our next coffee will be on Friday, January 7th. Mr. Knutson will be joining us again. I want to give a big shout out to the Chiefs for joining me today as my co-host. Thank you very much, and we'll be here to answer any questions afterwards. Have a great day.